Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. It has been a little while since I talked about this project. It's actually been finished since I think April last year, but due to the lockdown and other factors, I was never able to get finished worn footage of it, and so I had delayed putting together the last video. But no more. So this project is an 1890s walking suit, based across a bunch of different inspirations. My previous videos go a little bit more into detail about the inspirations. I got this small striped wool suiting, not the best quality, but it was a steal. I will link the videos about making the jacket, sleeves and skirt in the description box. This video is about making the final element, the vest, chemisette, wherever you want to call it, Victorian tank top. This was based on an extant bodice I saw for sale on Instagram, which I sadly did not get, but I did fall in love with it. It has a bunch of pleats fanning over the front of the bodice. For this, I couldn't even begin to imagine what a flat pattern for this would look like, so I decided to drape it. To drape, I got a largish-ish piece of cotton calico. I tore a strip to ensure it was on grain, and aligned that with the center front. The rest is a manner of pulling and folding until it was the right sort of shape. Something worth mentioning is that even with my corset on it, my dress form is not my shape or size, so draping gives me mixed results. Once I had the final shape, which included a plain, somewhat fitted back piece, I took it off the dress form and marked every single pleat, both sides, and which direction the pleats were going in. I then transferred this to paper, not in the most exact method, but hey, it worked. I then made one mock-up with the collar from plain polycotton I had lying around, and I was thrilled. This mock-up was freaking amazing. It was probably the best mock-up I've ever done. It might be the best thing I've ever done. I don't know, I've actually lost it. It's very sad. Inspired, I moved straight on to cutting it out of the correct material, the only white cotton I had enough of in my stash. This was a very lightweight cotton that I had purchased on eBay over a year ago. I thought it was good quality because of how densely woven it was and how incredibly soft. I think this is what high thread count means. But god, what a terrible decision it was. This was so hard to sew and is better for linens than actual clothes. Once I cut out all my pieces, I made sure to transfer every marking using tailless tacks. This is when you sew essentially a running stitch with 2 strands of thread and leave large loops on each stitch. Then these loops are snipped and you can peel the 2 layers of fabric apart and snip 2. Then you have thread traces left on each piece of fabric. I moved on to pleating up the front. I'm not sure it's very visible here, but even just pinning this fabric was a flipping nightmare, and every single pin marking is still left on that fabric. I'm convinced this fabric came to earth straight from hell. I basted all of my pleats and then used a prick stitch with some silk thread to secure them in place. I then sewed the side seams. I tried to use my machine, but none of the stitches looked very good because of the fabric. So, you know what that means. I decided to hand sew it. Why not? There are only 4 small seams. I did small back stitches and sewed the 2 side seams and shoulder seams. I then turned the front edges under and whip stitched them into place. These have a large overlap to accommodate the closure. also hand felled the seams because otherwise I wouldn't be on brand. Felling is when you press the seam open, clip away one edge until it is 1/4 inch or even smaller, then fold the other seam allowance over it, encasing the raw edges, and sew that edge down. For the collar, I cut 2 pieces out of the cotton and 1 out of cotton organdy to give stability. I basted the organdy to 1 layer of the cotton. Then I sew the 2 layers of the collar together by hand, right sides facing each other, across the short and top edges. This is then pinned to the neckline, right sides facing each other, only catching one of the long bottom edges of the collar. I sew those with a backstitch. After pressing the seam, I folded under the raw edge of the other collar piece and whip stitched it over the seam, giving a clean finish. I really regret the way I finished the armholes. I sewed some bias tape, right sides facing each other, by hand. Then I pressed the whole of it inwards. But it's obvious that the inner curve of the armhole is smaller than the outer curve, so it looks very, very lumpy. I secured it down with a herringbone stitch along the inside, but again, not great. At some point, I also hemmed the bottom by turning it under twice and whip stitching. I actually think I did some of my finest hand sewing on this vest. Then I spent 6 years sewing on hooks and eyes to both sides of the front closure. I actually mixed them. I read somewhere that this was sometimes done and helped keep the closure, well, closed. You add a couple of eyes to the hook side and vice versa. And that was it. I actually really loved the result, despite the terrible fabric, which was not fit for this purpose. Not a lot of it is seen with the jacket on, but I will be reusing the pleat design in the future. The last video about this ensemble is a hat making video. Only my second hat to date, but it was pretty exciting to make. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see some more of my work, check me out on Patreon. Thank you for watching!